Aloha, everyone. Welcome to another dose of positivity. And for those of you who are on the Facebook streams listening to this or on LinkedIn, don't forget we are monitoring those. So please put your chats and questions or comments in there, and we will get to them as well. For if you're listening to the replay, thanks so much for being here. And we hope that you will also listen to some of our incredible speakers. We have people, everything from biological dentistry to activism in our YouTube channel. And we'll pop that YouTube station in here so you guys can go back and see everybody. And we'll also put JonnaMaltz.com in the chat so you can see what else we're up to at Soul to Soul. And I'm super excited to have Angeline Winter with us. We've had to cancel twice now, and she is in Arkansas, of all places, where they're having, you can look out her window there, where they're having heavy winds and tornado warnings. So this, we might be, like a couple weeks ago, I wrote a blog on flexibility. So, and I was writing it because Angeline needed to bow out at that time because of a family emergency. And we're so grateful with all our hearts to have you here talking about holistic cardio health. And before we get started, because some other people are tuning in right now, and I don't want them to miss any of you, I am, just so you know, everyone out there, I have written several books, everything from a memoir of sorts to my yummy recipe book, which is a kid's book, all about health and heart and love. Anyway, I am now writing a I Love series, and the first book is I Love Flowers. That'll be coming out in a few months. But I'm really, reason I'm sharing this is because something happened to me this year when I've been having a lot of health issues, and that's how I got a hold of Angeline in the first place. I called for a free consultation at this cardio center where I could express like what's going on with me, because I have AFib and SVT, and we'll pop the blog in there so you can read more about it. But one thing has healed me, and something that we're going to be talking about, because we're talking about holistic cardiovascular health today. And one of the key things for me, as most of you know, is nature. Nature is my church, right? It's my temple, it's my synagogue. And now I have started writing this poetry. And so I'm doing these I Love series of books. I Love Flowers. It's a poetry book. And most of you also know that I'm a professional photographer. So we'll have my two loves that makes my SVT and my AFib reduced, stress reduction. So here's a little poem for all of you, and thank you everybody who's in the show live and on Facebook, our Facebook group, and LinkedIn. Welcome, welcome. Anyway, the poem goes like this. In the dance of life, our hearts beat strong. A symphony of rhythm, a timeless song. Holistic health is a journey if we embrace. In body, mind, and spirit, we find our grace. Nature whispers secrets ancient and wise. Her gentle touch soothes beneath azure skies. In forest glades where trees stand tall, we find solace and peace amidst it all. The body is a temple, a vessel divine. Nourish it well with fruit from the vine. With every breath, we fuel its fire. Embracing movement, we never tire. Mind a garden where thoughts take root. Cultivate kindness, let negativity mute. In stillness, find clarity and inner peace. Letting go of worries, let anxieties cease. Spirit, a flame burning bright and true, connected to all in the vast sky of blue. In love and compassion, our souls unite, guided by intuition into the depths of night. heart health, a harmony complete, nature's gifts surrounding our spirit, and replete in body, mind, and spirit. We find our way. Embrace the journey each and every day. Thanks so much for seeing this side of me as I have metamorphosed, and my heart is open and healing. I'll put this little poem in the chat in a minute, but I am super excited to remind everybody just a few housekeeping rules. We are live. If you want to raise your hand, come on stage, you can, or pop your questions or your thoughts in the chat, and we so appreciate your input. And just know that every time you speak out, every time you share your truth, it's good for your heart health. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today with Angelina Winter. Thank you so much for being here today. And this introduction is short, and she's going to give you a little bit more detail. But Angeline happens to be a certified health coach, and she is working for a holistic cardiologist, Dr. Jack Wolfson. And that's the office I called, and I was so fortunate to get her on the other line. And he is Dr. Jack Wolfson. He is a natural health doctor. And you'll ask, what is that? Well, we're going to tell you in just a minute. She works with prospective and current patients to implement lasting lifestyle changes that lead to healthier outcomes. Angelina lives in the beautiful Ozark Mountains of the Northwest Arkansas, where you can look out the window, and she lives there with her 7-year-old son, which fills her heart each and every day. Angela loves helping people, and she truly helped me get healthier and empowers people as well as herself using all of these beautiful techniques we're going to talk about today. So I want to welcome you to the show, Angeline. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a really a joy to have you. And I know you've had some heartaches in the last couple of weeks, and we just really appreciate you coming on. So first of all, I wanted to talk to you. I know your past history. You were a high school Spanish teacher, and I know you love to travel, but how did you stumble upon being a holistic cardiovascular coach?
Yeah. So I've had a couple careers in my life, and I guess, when I went through college, I didn't really know what I was going to end up really being interested in. Like I studied Spanish, and I got a degree and a master's in Spanish, and I studied sociology. So I think that kind of set me up for health coaching, studying how people interact in groups and this sort of psychology that goes along with sociology. But yeah, I was a Spanish teacher, and I ended up, developing health problems, as many people do in their lifetime. And so I started researching. I started learning about my own health, and it started with gut issues and sort of reactions. And so I met a health coach at one point and didn't even know that was a career, didn't even know that was a thing. And as soon as I heard it, I said, health coach, that's what I want to do. And so then I pursued a certification and started my own business for a little while, and then had different types of health coaching jobs, and then found that natural heart doctors. So it has been a journey, and it's very personal always. I love health coaching because, a lot of us know the right things and good things to do, but what a blessing it is to have a mirror and a reminder of those things. So as I coach other people and help them, then I'm also reminded and mirrored, like, what is a good lifestyle. And I think that's what makes us unique at Natural Heart Doctor and the people that I work with, is that everyone is authentic, and they're living, they're walking the walk, they're talking the talk, but they're also living life this way. And natural health is a lifestyle. It's not prescription or like you must do it this way. But it's just,
Right.
and I loved your poem so much because because it's also very intuitive and living in harmony with nature. And what is it? How is it that humans are supposed to live and um, in harmony? And how do we correspond our circadian rhythms with nature's circadian rhythms? There's just so much of that.
Well, what I love too so much what you just said is, the heartbeat, when you think of music in times of four, I mean, the heartbeat is the pulse of nature. Everything is about the heart and the heartbeat and the circadian rhythm. And we've gotten so far from that, specializing in, heart condition or whatever, and looking at the broader um, circumstances of what happens when there's imbalance in nature. The rhythms are all messed up. As soon as the rhythms get messed up, it's a cascade of events. And that same thing happens with our bodies, our hearts. I mean, you can get a kidney transplant or live without one, but you only got one heart. And so um, it is super important for us to just make that connection, how it's just a holistic approach to our well-being. One of the things that I'm so curious about is I didn't get to talk to Dr. Jack Dr. Jack Wolfson, but tell us a little bit about him. Tell us about the clinic and why he is so different and how you guys approach heart disease, heart conditions differently than other cardio doctors, MDs.
Yeah, yeah. And if you meet him in person, like he is a very genuine person. He cares about people. And so he's a doctor of osteopathy. So as a DO, his father was a cardiologist. So he was kind of born into cardiology and he became a cardiologist like his father. And he practiced conventional cardiology. So I don't know how many years, but he started in Chicago and then he ended up in Scottsdale, Arizona area. And he worked for the largest cardiology group in Scottsdale and led that group. And um, his whole story, and he loves to tell it, is, he met his future wife, who was a chiropractor, and she kind of blew his mind. She was the one that kind of woke him up, and because his father had a health condition, and Mayo Clinic didn't know what to do about it, didn't have any answers, and she told him, "This is why he's sick," and it had to do with toxins in the environment and eating junk food and unhealthy lifestyles, and it just changed things for him. And eventually he decided to, once his eyes were open, he looked around and said, yeah, I see more pain, I see more disease, I see pills and procedures that aren't helping people, and logically, and so he wanted to do it a different way. So then he founded what was it first called? It had a different name, his practice, but then he switched it over to Natural Heart Doctor. So he started that in Scottsdale. I think it was maybe 2012, but I think, yeah, his wife sort of was kind of the impetus for that. But he saw it, and he was too late to save his own father, but he was really inspired to help people in a real way, get healthier in a real way.
That's fantastic. So we'll pop in that website right now so you guys can geek him out. He's pretty amazing, and what happens over there, enough for me to prompt me to want to know more and learn more and have Angeline on our show. So let's dive into the different types of modalities that you do over there. I know you've got the health coaching, and you mentioned some diet, exercise, and so forth. But when we're talking about things like lowering your cholesterol, and we're talking about things like having irregular heartbeats, and we're talking about things like having trouble breathing, climbing stairs, all related to, heart disease, right? So to kind of, dissect those, maybe each one individually, like let's look at cholesterol, for instance. I know he's really against statin drugs, and probably a lot of our audience who is listening right now are, chances are you're on a statin drug. So let's just talk about that for a minute and how Dr. Jack deals with that and how you coach people.
Yeah. So, and it also comes from, I think, a flawed premise, which is that cholesterol is the problem. And so, cholesterol has been blamed for decades as causing plaque buildup and blockages. Why? Because it's present, but the cholesterol did not cause those problems. And so our approach is not to necessarily try to lower cholesterol, maybe, but we want to dive further into, there's much more nuance to that story because we need cholesterol for many, many different functions in the body. It makes the repair of your brain. If you go on a statin, you're at risk for dementia. So we need cholesterol to make vitamin D, to make hormones. Every watery cell in the body has cholesterol in the cell membrane to help hold it together. So there are many, many functions and needs and uses of cholesterol. And if you just lower it willy-nilly, that could cause problems. So cholesterol is not the problem. It's what happens to these fats in the body. They can become oxidized, just like fats outside the body can become oxidized and rancid. And when they become oxidized, they can get smaller and smaller, recycled. They're not cleared by the liver. And then they start getting small and dense. We start looking at particles. So we do advanced testing to look at other markers beyond just a total LDL cholesterol. So we look at particle size, ApoB/A ratio. A lot of, professionals, conventional cardiologists, they like to say that a lot of things are genetics, right? You've got a family history, so it's that. Well, it may or may not be. I mean, there's a whole study of epigenetics, which is how our environment can turn certain genes on or off. So there is a genetic component that we look at as a marker called Lp(a). And so, there are things that we're looking at. We look at markers of inflammation. So we do this advanced testing to identify what is the big picture going on in the body and what are sources of inflammation. Those are even more relevant to heart events than cholesterol. So half of all people that have heart attacks have normal cholesterol.
Really?
Yeah. So, there's that inflammation piece is really huge. So we do these in-depth tests, this series of tests to identify sources of inflammation in the body. And it could be in your gut, it could be in your liver, it could be anywhere that could affect the heart. So we know that holistically as a body, everything is interrelated. Bless you.
Information here. This is fascinating. This is real. If you guys have questions, I have plenty. So, so the inflammation, like arthritis or you might have, like, that's kind of inflammation. Diabetes is created by inflammation. Everything is created, like, this inflammation is the infamous inflammation. So dive into what are some strategies that you do there at the clinic that, to help reduce people's inflammation. Like one, diet change, but I want to get down to the nuts and bolts here, get very specific, like get really specific, like what do people have to do to bring their inflammation down, reduce their cholesterol naturally, and feel better?
Yeah. And this is what I do all day long, working with people, working with patients on all these topics. So you're right. I mean, inflammation is present in every disease process. So like I said, what are the sources of inflammation? We can dive into testing. It's everything. It's diet, lifestyle. Are you stressed out? Inflammatory. Are you eating too much sugar, too many carbohydrates in your diet? Inflammatory. Are you eating seed oils? Very inflammatory. So eating the right fats, so yeah, as far as the diet goes, we recommend paleo. So meat, organ meat, seafood, vegetables, fruits, healthy fats. So, and always high quality, because if you have low quality foods, well, those can be inflammatory too. So confined animals, toxins sprayed on your vegetables and fruits, inflammatory. We've got to be organic and grass fed and wild caught and just, the highest, because we do run, one of our root cause tests is the toxin test. So we'll look in your body, what, your mold mycotoxins, your heavy metals, and your environmental chemicals, what is your load in your body that could be contributing to any cardiovascular issue. We look at the gut. So we run a test called Wheat Zoomer, and we look to see if you're reacting to gluten and if you have leaky gut. And the reason we do that is there's so many people that this affects. Every test that I see, it seems, there's a million markers, different markers for gluten, different proteins, wheat. So everyone seems to be reacting to gluten. Everyone seems to be having leaky gut. When you have gut inflammation, that can affect your heart, can cause malabsorption of nutrients. And then the micronutrients we test to see your status. We want to optimize nutrition in your body. And usually when people have things tested, they're looking at what's in the blood. But our test is looking inside the cell, which is where everything works. Your vitamins, your minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, everything is happening inside the cell. We can measure that, and that gives us a more accurate picture. So we optimize your nutrients. That's another strategy. So the whole program, it starts with eat well, live well, think well, which is very basic. And of course, we can dive further into all these things. So eat well, paleo, high quality foods is what we recommend.
Can I just stop you right there? Because this is fascinating to me, because it's kind of like an oxymoron. Most people are probably thinking, wait, I shouldn't be eating more meat and more cholesterol, or like paleo diet just seems contradictory to what all the vegetarian, vegan diets people are saying as far as heart health. So what is the paleo diet? And you're not recommending eating bacon, obviously. That's what you just said there. But tell us more about.
We're recommending bacon as long
as you are, but grass-fed, organic,
a healthy animal. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But we have to go back to that whole concept. Are we trying to lower cholesterol?
Right.
Not necessarily. So yeah, you could be on a vegan diet and maybe drop your cholesterol. But is that preferable? Is that going to support your longevity? Not necessarily. So, and we can raise our cholesterol from some dietary fats and dietary cholesterol. But most of it we make. So if you reduce cholesterol intake as far as your diet goes, your liver is just going to make more for the needs of your body. So, yeah, I mean, we recommend paleo because it's nutrient dense. It's also involves healthy fats, avoiding seed oils, and then it's naturally lower in carbohydrates. So your beans and legumes, which I know everyone loves their beans and legumes, their grains and legumes. But the nutrients in those are hard to access. They're hard to digest. They're hard on the gut. And they're high carbs. So if you think about how we're over consuming carbohydrate, which the definition is sugar, anything that breaks down into sugar in the body, which we use some for fuel. But the reason you mentioned diabetes being associated with heart disease is because it absolutely goes hand in hand. So, people get to cardiovascular disease by way of blood sugar issues because of overeating carbohydrates in their diet. And so we want to limit our carbs. And if you only eat vegetables and fruits and that's your carbohydrate, that's all you need. You don't need anything more. And so anyway, those are some of the reasons why we recommend paleo. But yeah, eat well, live well, think well. So, eating well, but then the lifestyle, like living well, thinking well. So, managing your stress, getting good sleep, these are huge factors. Yeah. Getting movement and sunshine. So these are some of the other things we talk about in the program. We use supplements too. We do the testing so that we can make the most customized recommendations.
Test, don't guess.
Test, don't guess. Yeah, that's our motto.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Yeah. Wow, this is so fascinating. This is what I love about the show. Bringing on people, looking at the whole. This is like not everybody's going to be able to digest this because they're in a different mindset. And so, what are some of the results that you have seen? What are the benchmarks? What are the results that you're hoping to see at your office? If you're not looking so much at the cholesterol as a marker, energy level, what do you see typically after, say, 6 months of coaching a client?
Yeah, I mean, everything. So we base it on what people tell us as feedback, and then we can also obviously do retesting and look at markers. So, people following our program, they feel more energetic. They are sleeping better. What I hear a lot is the inflammation is down. So the aches and pains, oh, this little pain in my heel or my thumb or my hip. To me, that's immediate. Like your inflammation went down. Now we can retest and look at the inflammation markers. We see them down. And the particle sizes and all these different things. Now, I said HDL, excuse me, the total and the LDL are not as important. We do look at HDL and triglycerides. So we want to optimize those, and we see that happen too. So HDL has a perfect range. Triglycerides, we want to keep those lower. So yeah, we see improvement in the markers when we retest, and people tell us they're feeling better. So
that's fantastic. And
yeah.
and doing this since 2012, right? So you've seen lots of good results. Do you
No, I've only been with natural heart doctors since November 2022. But yeah, Dr. Wolfson has had his business since I think it was 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a long time.
Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody out there who's listening to this, I don't know, it's opening up a lot of things, especially if your blood type is A positive like me, and I'm supposed to be a vegetarian and, stay away from all the paleo diet like a plague. What do you have to say about that to people who might be skeptical because they're A positive or even A blood type?
Yeah, I saw a question in our Facebook group about that recently, and Dr. Wolfson posted something that there had been some study that discounted or negated that. I have not seen the study. In general, my training is bioindividuality all the way, like whatever works for you, great. Some people respond very well to the blood type diet. At the same time, we all have the same blood sugar issues, needing to balance our blood sugar, keep our inflammation low. And so I think there's commonalities. And no matter how you eat, I think there's agreement that let's eat more vegetables. Let's get toxins out of our food. Our concern too is like, are you able to get quality protein? Are you able to get all your amino acids? If you're eating vegetarian, we don't want anyone to become B12 deficient. So, and listen, yeah, there's a huge difference between an organic grass-fed steak versus, confined and low quality. So, and I don't know what the studies, they're probably not differentiating any of those things. So
yeah, it is a complicated issue. Like, for instance, like if you have chronic kidney disease and you get too much protein in your urine, I mean, a lot of these heart things affect your other organs, like you said, diabetes, arthritis, all of these things. So it can get pretty complicated. And that's why I really respect what you guys are doing at your office, and you have all these tests, and you're looking at it like from a holistic approach, instead of having the kidney doctor, the heart doctor, the blah blah, all osteoporosis is all part of what we're talking about. And so it's a very important service that you offer, and I really want to commend you. And eventually one day I'd like to meet the doctor myself, and like you say, he's quite the guy and really cares about his patients, and I really appreciate that. Listen, we're halfway through the interview, and I just wanted to do a quick shout out here. We do this it's very, very important, and we're going to be popping some links in. And one of our viewers is asking what your Facebook group is. So while I'm doing these messages, if you can pop in your Facebook group for folks, that would be really great. And I also just want to remind everybody, we're also going to pop in a link for the GoFundMe for Tell. Everybody who's on the call knows who Tell is. We love you, Tell. Tell is in the hospital now, going on second, maybe third week. She's in a really, really hard situation there in the Philippines. And we have a GoFundMe. Actually, I didn't start it. We have her her mother-in-law started the GoFundMe, and we're going to give you two ways to donate, as small or large, whatever you can do to help her heart feel better. The smallest donation, just showing that you care, would be so appreciated. So we love you, Tal. We hope you listen to the replay, and we hope that this message goes far and wide, and the prayers will help get you out of that hospital bed. So she's 36 years old with 3 children and just the heart of gold. Her name is Crystal Love Dunlap, and we love you, Tal. And then I'd also like to make a note here to let you guys know that next week I'm actually gonna be we won't have a show next week, but the following week we will have an incredible, and this is a really interesting, Angelina, you might really like to come on this show. This woman she's in her like late 60s. She started a yoga studio years ago, and she's one of those people who I was hoping to get on the show today just to hear it, but who is a real vegan proponent of yogi diet and all that's what's another cool thing about this show is I like to represent all, and people need to find what you said, which was key, bio-individuality. And I want everybody who's listening to this in full transparency, where I'm not promoting one over the other, but I think this is fascinating information, and I am taking everything you're sharing with me, with us, Angelina, today, and I'm super pumped to talk to you some more and get on the program, because what I'm doing maybe isn't working. Trying to do more Ayurvedic yoga is so important to me, but my blood sugar is going up, and I still have AFib and SVT, and I'm trying to get to my root causes, as many of you who are on the call are trying to get to the root cause of this, and of what other illness, systemic problems you may be having. So I urge you all, and we'll put the link in too as well, TJ, of how they can get a hold of Angelina at the office, and also her email to take the half-hour free consultation to find out how you can live a longer, healthier, heart-healthy life. I really encourage you all to do that. So, Angelina, getting back to our interview, and then I'm going to go look in the chat too and see if there's any. Oh, here's a good question from Beverly. How much protein should one have daily? What do you recommend on the protocol with the paleo diet and heart healthy diet? What do you recommend?
Yeah, and that's a great question and highly debated. How much protein do we need? Some people say we need a lot of protein. Some people say that we don't need that much protein. I say we need somewhere in the middle. And so I've always done a calculation of taking your body weight and dividing it by 2.2. And that will give you the amount of grams in a day.
Ooh, so you weigh 160.
So like you get
Yeah,
or something, and you divide it by 3 meals. So 30 grams per meal. Most people need at least 20 grams per meal. Now, if you're short and don't weigh that much, maybe it's a little under 20, but most people in the calculations need at least 20 grams. So that's something to consider, because I think a lot of people are not getting enough protein. And that's something to think about, because proteins are the building blocks of everything in the body. So it's important to have adequate protein. And then, if you're going to do more plant protein, which again, I do recommend high quality animal protein, complete proteins. But if you're doing plant protein, you have to make sure you're getting a wide variety of sources, because amino acids are what make up protein. So vegetarian proteins are not complete. We've heard about that for a long time. So you just want a variety of sources throughout your day. My only issue is that, the vegetarian sources of protein are also high carbohydrate. And here we are trying to talk about how blood sugar goes hand in hand with cardiovascular disease. You, Donna, are saying your blood sugar is going up. So how do we have to manage that? That's super important. So how do we bring it down? And, we need to avoid this blood sugar roller coaster where you spike your blood sugar and then it dips and you got low energy and you're hungry and then you're spiked and you dip. And that's very stressful on the body. It's very inflammatory. So if we can stay within normal ups and downs in a more moderate up and down range, that's more ideal because it is going to go up and down.
Oh,
So how do that?
this is great. Hi, how you doing? You're on live TV right now.
This is my son.
Cool. Your mom's being interviewed. How are you doing? Oh, and no, don't be sorry. This is so great because this is leading into the next thing. You don't have to go away. You can sit and hang out with us, but just know people are watching you. If that's okay with you and it's not too stressful, because we're going to move from food to stress right now because your mom is an expert in all this stuff and we don't want stress, and you can hang out with us. Okay. So, here's we have covered quite a bit on food, and I encourage all of you to absorb all of this and again talk to Angelina at another time. But we want to move into like the stress factor of I hear a lot of people saying, it wasn't until I reduced my stress that that I got healthy, right? A lot of people, you said it earlier, 50% of people who have heart attacks and die had normal cholesterol levels. And so what is this? Let's dive into the stress factor here and what you guys recommend in your office to reduce stress. And I know time in nature for me is super healthy, writing poetry and doing nature photography. Okay, those are my three big ones. So what other things do you prescribe?
Yes. And before I start that, I just wanted to complete real quick. So balancing blood sugar, if
Yes.
you're have protein, fat, and your VIP carb, which is vegetables. You have your three macronutrients balanced. So just to complete that thought, with blood sugar balance, protein, fat, vegetables. Anyway, let's move on. But yeah,
No.
stress.
Can I ask one other question? Because your son got me, off
Yeah.
my track, but he's adorable, just like you. No, for those of us who like the gram thing, who are more on the ounce thing, and they say, protein you should put in the cup of your hand. Like, give us an idea. It's 2 eggs. How many grams, or how many grams is 2 eggs? Like, you have 2 eggs for breakfast, say with some spinach and a sweet potato. Would that be a good breakfast?
Yeah. I mean, 2 eggs one egg is about 7 grams. So
Okay.
to get to 20, you're looking at 3 eggs or like 2 eggs and maybe a little bit of breakfast
Bacon.
bacon. And then always vegetables. Yeah. So spinach, I like to throw in my eggs. Avocado is beautiful. You get some extra fat. So yeah, I think, and that's, and I like the palm size thing too. I think that's equivalent to your, proportionate to your body. But it's more like what's on your plate rather than we're not counting calories and like weighing things. It's more, eat slowly, chew your food, and that way you don't overeat, so you don't eat too fast, and you eat to satiety, and that's it. So it's very simple.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's interesting. Brian just joined in, and one of the things that Brian does, and he taught me, and which is fabulous, he'll eat his oatmeal and he'll cook it with an egg on top. He'll eat the oatmeal with the egg. So there's ways to get that good protein. Add some ghee, like ghee or butter, right, to the oatmeal, and then but you still got to get more protein in it each meal. That wouldn't be enough protein. That would be more like how I would eat, like just not enough protein, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
You just gauge how you feel. If you have to snack between meals, maybe rethink your macronutrients. Try more fat and protein. Because I find if I eat a very satisfying meal with all these things, I don't need to snack at all. Like it takes me 4 hours later to the next meal when I'm good. So yeah, I like experimentation. Everyone to experiment different ways, try different things, see what works for you. But I'm so glad that you did bring up this stress topic because it is so big. I mean, the American lifestyle is stressful. It's go, 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 produce and be productive and 8 to 5 work Monday through Friday.
And then the stress of what to eat. My God, to add that to the cherry on the top. Go ahead.
What's for dinner?
I had to just throw that in there.
Yeah, that's a stress. That is a stressor. Yes. What is for dinner? So meal planning, thinking about your meals ahead of time, being prepared. They always say if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
But anyway, a lot of the very most common cardiovascular issues, I think, and so we look at root causes, but you can have multiple root causes. And I think stress is just very, very common. You think about high blood pressure, absolutely stress. You think about what you're experiencing with arrhythmias, whatever name we want to call that, SVT, palpitation, aflutter, AFib, one of the things that's controlling your heart rate and rhythm is your autonomic nervous system. And this is doing things in the background. It's not our central from the brain, but it's just, controlling all of these things going on in our body. And if we're in fight or flight, everything's different. Our heartbeat is accelerated. Blood pressure does raise, our veins constrict, we're ready to run and fight a bear. And we should only be in fight or flight like small amounts of time. We're designed to be in rest and digest, the other state, the parasympathetic, the majority of our lives. And I think we get stuck. It's easy to get stuck. I've been there. I'm sure a lot of people have been there where you feel sort of amped up and you can't relax and you go through periods of time like this. So yeah, we work with patients a lot on how do we manage your stress. How do we manage stress? We can get markers like cortisol, and sometimes we'll dive deeper in that and we'll do like the 4-point cortisol where you look at your pattern throughout the day. But in general, I really like what we call vagal exercises, so that when you stimulate your vagus nerve, which is that big nerve coming from all the way from your brain through the heart, through the lungs, into the gut. And if we stimulate it, it'll get us into the rest and digest, sympathetic. So breathing exercises, and I can share my very favorite one. Breathing through your nose. Like if you're a mouth breather, it's fight or flight mode. But breathing through your nose, that's why sleep apnea is part of the reason why that's such a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Part of it is not getting, the oxygen as well circulating, but we just, we want to be breathing through our nose in general. There's a great book called Breath by James Nestor, and a lot of people are talking about it these days. It's an amazing book. I would highly encourage everyone to read it. And, they talk about how traditional societies around the world, they will train their children. They will change their children's breathing to make sure they're breathing through their nose because they know how important it is. So anyway, breathing through your nose, like things like meditation and yoga and sunshine and grounding, bare feet on the ground, chiropractic care, cold water on your face or cold showers. These are all things that we call vagal exercises. And I always recommend that like in the moment stress, but also like an everyday practice. If you can do 5 minutes every day of some of these things and stack up, if the weather's nice, go outside and do a few of those things together. That's helpful. Now there's also supplements that we use. So we can go there too if you want to talk about supplements and how to calm your system, using clinically based supplements. So it kind of, there's never a silver bullet with our program. And I think that's kind of a different paradigm that a lot of people are used to. They're like, okay, well, this procedure is going to help me and that's it. Or this, this medicine is going to help me and I don't have to do anything, right? That's it. I don't have to do anything. But we ask our people to do things. You've got to do the work. You can't just take a supplement and expect it to do it all. Like it has to be.
Oh, come on. What about this one and this one? Well, man, we could go on for freaking hours, man. This is so great. I just have a couple things. We're going to put in the book. You said it was called Breath. We'll put that in the link for you guys. Don't worry about it, Angela. We got you covered. And also, I want to remind you we're going to put in the link again for Insight Timer. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Angelina, but it's a great tool for you to offer to your clients. It's free, or you $59 a year, and I don't make any money on Insight Timer. But I do yoga and pranayama every day, and great meditations, great breathing exercises and breathing courses, which have really helped me with my sleep apnea. Really, like, I'm telling you, what you're saying is so true. I'm still freaking out about my diet because Angeline and I graduated from both in the same school, bioindividuality. That would be Institute of Integrative Nutrition, right? Is that where you went to school? We're both certified health coaches, and from the same school. And when you said bioindividuality, that ticked me. I remember 4 months ago or so when I called you, that came off. So, and Beverly, to answer your question about spinach, yes, spinach is very high in oxalates. Most greens are, as it are certain nuts, and you can find a whole list of that. Maybe TJ, you can find a list of everything that's high in oxalates, which leads to kidney stones. But with spinach and greens like that, what I know as a health coach is that you steam them and then you rinse them in cold water, and it gets most of the oxalates off. If anybody else has any tips about that, but you also aren't eating it like, a pound of it every day. So everything in moderation, except for Snickers bars, is a good idea. You get my gist. So, yeah, this is super exciting. So I feel like this stress thing, um, one of the things that I just brought into all of this was a little humor, because I know that we've all heard the expression, laughter is the greatest medicine. I just would like you to, kind of talk about that. Like, this show is a dose of positivity, right? We're supposed to smile. Like, one of the things I love, this meditator that I listen to almost every day, he always starts at everything, start with a smile on your face. And everybody who's listening to this now, just smile. If you smile, it goes right to your heart. You can almost get chills on your body. And so, like they always say, gratitude changes your attitude. So let's talk a little bit, like, more, go deeper into this, this mindset, this spiritual vibe that goes along with holistic heart health.
Yeah, definitely. And there's even that physiological component to fake it till you make it. Because when we smile, when we laugh, we have these physiological reactions and we feel better. And there's that whole laughter yoga where you just laugh and you feel better and you just keep spreading it. And, there's something to that. But yeah, I mean, eat well, live well, think well. So it does include spirituality and, that social connection. Like, we need each other. We know that isolation is bad for us. So that social network, it's something that we talk about in coaching too. Sometimes it takes the back burner to these other things that come first. But if you're in a toxic relationship, how can you be healthy in your body? It takes everything. It takes, good relationships improving. It takes a connection to our natural world and to nature and to God and source and whatever you want to call it. That connection, that purpose, community. I mean, these are all huge factors. And we heard about the blue zones, and this is what they have in common, are these connections. So it's absolutely true. You can be doing everything physically for your body, right? But if you're surrounded by negativity, or you're stuck in negative thought patterns, there's a physical repercussion to that. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's just something you just said, I just have to make a point of this. So, you know, you mentioned the blue zones, and part of my thing, you know, because I am a certified health coach, there's a blue zones here right where I live. I mean, we were one of the few cities outside of, you know, cities, we're 6,000 people, but towns. And, you know, the whole blue zone thing is basically eating a plant-based diet and drinking a little red wine and eating meat ceremonially. And, you know, that's what is so great about having a health coach like you, because there's oxymorons in all of this. You can take the best from here, the best from there, and you got to work with what's best for you. So if people are, because I know a couple people who are on the live show right now, they are diehard vegetarians, and I'm not diehard anything, but maybe I should be, and I'd be healthier. But I have the good things like the humor and the stress down and just the loving of life and the positive attitude. But you know, this diet thing, and I just want to bring it back here because we only have like a couple of minutes left, and I don't want to stress about it because it can be super stressful. So, you know, I just want to encourage everybody who's feeling that way to definitely, I don't know where TJ is. She hasn't been putting the links in. We could have lost her. Oh, there she goes. She's looking up the link for Insight Timer right now. And the book you said was Breath, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to make sure we get those in there, TJ. There you go. And then she just put in the link in from my blog. But yeah, there's so much to be said about the whole blue zones theory, and they're definitely not in the paleo realm. So I don't want anybody here to feel confused. I think the paleo diet has, the way Angela is talking about it, it has most clout that I've heard anybody on this show really talk about, in the sense that, you know, knowing, like I have a chapter in my book, Meet Your Meat Before You Eat, right? You got to be willing to cut the chicken's neck off, sort of, you know, and understand and really respect and honor. And that comes back to the spiritual thing we're talking about, and the prayer and the devotion and the dedication. Because, you know, a lot of times before I eat, you know, like I will stop and just ask myself, is this good for me? And I thank the animal, and I try and be really respectful. And then there's times where I let my blood sugar go wacko, and I go to the grocery store and I'll buy a bag of oatmeal cookies and I'll eat them all. And so this is that roller coaster that is not heart healthy. This is the cardio nightmare that you were talking about earlier. And having a coach and having someone who can test, not guess, and make it so that you are on the right track is really important. So if you are a vegetarian and vegan, don't be put off by the paleo diet. And also don't be so stubborn to thinking that maybe for a while it might save your life too. But you want to be monitored on all of these things, because we're talking about heart. We're talking about the number one heart disease, the number one killer globally by far. So this conversation is really important. And if you go to a traditional cardiology office, you're not going to be getting this information that you can take further and pursue with a holistic cardiologist. And TJ, if you get a chance, she just put in the Insight Timer link. I know I'm asking you to do a lot. You and the breath book, what's the author's name?
Oh, I wrote it in the chat.
Oh,
It's
good.
James Nestor,
Great.
Nestor. Yeah, you'll all enjoy it if you end up reading it. But
These tools are really important, and having someone that you can depend on and trust to help guide you it is, you know, this is our lives, people. This is our life. So we literally have 2 minutes left in the show, and you can talk for 5, but I would love for you to close us out with just some real positivity and how everybody can feel really great leaving this. You gave us an arsenal of ideas and tools, which I am so grateful for. I would love to have you back on the show because I got too many more questions, but we only have really this hour. So everybody copy the chat, and if you have any more last questions, or TJ, if there's any more questions, let me know now. And then just, Angelina, just give us some lasting words of wisdom, some tools that we can do right now today, in addition to what you've already given us, to improve the health of our hearts.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that about being open-minded. Like I believe that, try something out. 30 days is a good amount of time to try something new out because it's enough time to create a habit if it's something good for you. Um, and it's enough time to gauge your body's reactions. And I love to advise keeping a journal as you make any changes because then you can note time wise, what went along with what change. Can we correlate things? So I'm really a big fan of journaling and in general journaling as far as emotional support, identifying emotions, processing emotions. um, you know, can you sleep better by getting it all out before you go to bed?
Yeah.
If you need to just, get things out. So yeah, big fan of journaling, but yeah, the lifestyle things, you have to optimize your sleep. You have to get whatever your ideal sleep is. For most people, it's around 8 hours. So, um, getting to bed at least by 10 is kind of the sweet spot with our circadian rhythms. So 9 o'clock for me is like, boom, I sleep so good. And then you can wake up early and feel good if you need to. But yeah, by 10 o'clock, that's really going to optimize. So make sleep a priority, make stress management a priority. Eat more vegetables, eat organic, and see if you can balance your meals, protein, fat, and vegetables at every meal. Um, get your sunshine. Don't be afraid of the sun. We need the sun. Dr. Wolfson calls our skin a solar panel.
Mm.
So it's a feel good, you're going to feel better. There's a lot of, you know, and from cardiovascular standpoint, we make nitric oxide in the sun. For blood pressure, this is what tells our blood vessels to open up and relax. It's something we make in the body, so a signaling molecule. So we make it in the sun. And then get movement. Like everyone wants an exercise program, and that's great. But I like to think of how can we live less of a sedentary lifestyle? Why am I sitting right now? I should be standing. We should have a standing desk. Um, take those stairs. Everyone says it. Park far away. Get your movement in. So I don't know what else I can add. Like those are the.
No, that's so great. That is so great. That is a beautiful closure of encapsulating all the golden gems that we've discussed here today. And I just want to also do a big shout out for Dr. Jack Wolfson for taking the leap of faith. There's a lot of doctors who are cowards out there, and it's really impressive to see he's created a whole growing industry of this holistic cardio health. And I am so grateful to him. I'm so grateful to you for being on the show. And I see that Sharon Sawyer just joined in. And TJ, if you can find, Sharon was one of our speakers, and you'll love to meet Sharon, Angela. She does trigger therapy, and that's one thing we didn't talk about. And everybody who's on the show pretty much knows that every Thursday I go get a massage, and it's from a healer who is just incredible and super great for my cardio. Super great for my whole well-being. And Sharon does trigger therapy as well. So there's all these modalities that we didn't even touch upon, but we have many episodes where we do talk about that. And one is Sharon, I just see you popped in. You'll have to listen to the rest of the replay. This has been a fantastic interview. And what's your son's name?
Raza.
Raza, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You added so much beauty and love and reason for all of us to take care of our health, because we want to love our children, our grandchildren, and greats, hopefully. And you were a rock star hanging out with us here today. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, this is, we're going to wrap it up here with a dose of positivity. We won't see you next week, but we will see you the following week with Barbara. Hey, TJ, before we go, just put Barbara's link in there. Fascinating interview coming up on the 21st of March. So please all join us. And again, Angelina, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Wolfson. And I forgot how to say your name again, but you are a rock star. And a big love and aloha.